Hi, I'm Ruth Crane, Executive Director and founder of Ears to You, and welcome to our Green and Gold Gala. I'm so glad you could be with us here tonight as we honor a wonderful group of cancer survivors, and we talk a little bit about Ears to You and our mission and what you can do to help us out. So a little bit just about the history. I am a breast cancer survivor, and I started Ears to You in 2008 when I was undergoing chemotherapy, and I had lost my hair and I was in the hospital for a possible infection. And my husband asked what could he bring back for me, and I asked him to bring back earrings and my wig and makeup, the things that made me feel like me. And I realized when I put those things on, I felt fabulously better. And I really feel like God inspired me at that moment to say, geez, Ruth, if you feel better, I bet other women in this situation could also feel the same way. So we started Ears to You with earring donations, and we started just at the Cleveland Clinic where I was being treated. And we slowly expanded from there. We expanded to helping girls through a prom to remember, and donated earrings to girls who had either gone through chemotherapy and cancer treatments or currently were. And then we expanded also to children's hospitals to help girls in the hospitals. We then helped men and boys, because they always joke, well, hey, what about us? So we started donating hats, both winter hats, baseball hats, something that would cover a head and make the head feel warm, whether they were losing their hair or not. Sometimes it's just that little gift. And then through one of our hospital partners, actually the Cleveland Clinic Taussig Cancer Center, had a request for headscarves or something that women could wear outside of wearing a wig, because the wigs can sometimes be uncomfortable or hot. So we started donating headscarves, and it became one of our most popular items. And then our fourth item started just a couple of years ago, and we added in a book donation. So now we are helping cancer patients of all ages, kids through adults, both through our hospital partners, cancer support centers, and also individually with patients. And it's not limited to any type of cancer. And the biggest thing that we do with our hospital partners is we ask that those items be given in a one-on-one interaction with the patient, because we find that that one-on-one interaction is what really builds that joy. It builds that hope. That patient feels cared for. Hey, someone thought about them in that moment. And your presence here tonight and your ability to donate to help us out will continue to give those moments of hope to patients. So we ask you to sit back and get comfortable and be ready to be inspired by listening to the video of the stories of tonight's honored cancer survivors. Thank you.
My name is Emma Hall. I was 2 years old when I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Hi, my name's Mike Bailey. The type of cancer that I had was ampullary cancer, which is a very, very strange cancer and very rare.
I'm Dawn Kearns, and I was diagnosed with cervical cancer when I was 50. My name is Terry Menn. I had colon cancer at age 50, and then 4 years later I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
My name is Patty Tomasello, and I had invasive ductal carcinoma of the breast. I was 57 years old at the time of my diagnosis.
My name is Ellen Cheney. I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 51.
My name is Debbie Bailey. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 64.
So honestly, I don't remember a lot because I was so young, but my parents told me that my mom was giving me a bath one day and she noticed little spots on the roof of my mouth, which were petechiae. So she took me to the hospital, and a little while after that we found out that I had leukemia. I went through 2 years of chemo and I finished all my treatments, and I don't remember them a lot, but I do remember like the car rides there, and I remember bits and pieces of my interactions with the nurses. I did lose my hair. I had red hair before, and they told my grandma that it might not come back red, but she said no, it's gonna come back red, and it did. So I have a younger brother. His name is Dylan, and he wasn't born yet when I was going through treatments. He was born just after, or just before my treatments ended. So since I was so young, I think I probably handled it like any normal 2-year-old. I was very sassy, I was very stubborn. I used to throw my shoes at the residence, like not really knowing what's going on, but also being kind of annoyed at the fact that I don't know what's going on and also not feeling well. It's kind of surreal for me because I don't remember it. but my parents remember everything. So we go through like bits and pieces of like, oh, Emma did this while she was in treatment. And I just go, what? Like, I don't remember any of that. And like, so it's kind of surreal to think back and be like, I was so young and like I went through so much. So it's just kind of interesting to go back and think about it. Sorry. I don't talk about it. It feels like it happened to somebody else because I don't remember it. When I was 18, I believe, my oncologist said cured. Like he said the word cured. So that was exciting. But now I just go back and get blood work every year or every few years. So it really just depends on what I'm feeling. I definitely think that it's made me really stronger than I would have been probably if I didn't have cancer. I think it's made me realize like you only get like a certain amount of time, so you really have to like live it up and like make that time count. I just want to thank my parents for the absolute hell that they went through for me. I know it wasn't easy, and I know I was a brat, so just thank you. And my grandparents, my whole family, just them for always being there for me and like making sure that I'm good. So, yeah.
The amazing thing is I caught it on a regular test. My wife and daughter kept on me about getting an endoscopy. I had heartburn and things like that, but I've had heartburn all my life. I went and had an endoscopy, and when I woke up, the doctor and I were the only ones that weren't crying. So I knew this wasn't good, even though I was on anesthesia trying to come out of it. So that's how it was found, just an endoscopy. They wanted me to see a surgeon as quickly as possible. Got a hold of them and had an appointment within 4 days, 5 days maybe. And that worked out really well. And it kind of brought the really home, close to home, because when I went into the doctor, he was looking me over and talking. I took my oldest son and my wife with me. And we went in, and basically he looked at me, explained what I had. And I was trying to talk him out of the surgery, because the surgery was Whipple surgery, which is not good. It's a huge surgery where they go in and take out about everything that you own. So I was looking at that, and I kept talking to him saying, isn't there another alternative to this? And then he gave me the diagnosis I had 5 months to live unless I had this within 30 days. And that really woke me up. So that kind of changed everything. I kind of got in a real hurry then. I can only thank God and my wife and my family for taking care of me. It's really a rough operation, and I had some complications with it. I had some infections, and I guess the rate of coming through that's not real good, because I'm a superstar whenever I go in to see a doctor somewhere, because they want to talk to me about it. So basically what happened was I had the surgery. It turned into a 12-hour surgery. All my family was there. Even the out-of-state family came in, because I wasn't given pretty good odds on this. Because what they do if they go in and it's too bad, they just close you up and good night Irene time. From there on, I was there 49 days. I remember Debbie and Kate and my son and the entire family being there on a regular basis. I find myself getting tired. That's no big deal, because I'm just happy to be here, you know. Talk about a miracle, I'm the miracle of all time. But I can't say enough about my family. And they went about taking care of me at home. And it was no picnic for them. I had 33, I came home with ports and IVs and everything. Luckily, my daughter is an all-star ICU nurse, so that was a lot of help. She had to work. Debbie took over everything. She had 33 things to do medically to me a day. Different medicines and stuff getting plugged in and drained. I had drainage on me and everything, so really can't say enough. They went out of their way. I had the grandkids too, and they're crazy, and it was fun. And you know, they come in and watch out for Papa, you know. Don't jump on him like you normally do, but they were always there and smiling and grinning, and that gave you a lot of hope.
I actually had two kinds of breast cancer. I had triple negative and HER2 positive. I have diverticulitis, thought I was having a bout with it. A CAT scan of my stomach actually caught the tumor in my breast. And I really feel like that was God's hand on me to help me find it early. I didn't have a mammogram scheduled, and time is really catching something early is invaluable when you have cancer. I first had the mastectomy. 3 weeks later, I started chemo. I had chemo every 3 weeks, and I had it about 5 months. And then I started on the chemo pill. It's not fun, but I made it through. The most difficult time for me was in the beginning, when I was waiting to find out if my cancer had metastasized. I knew what kind of cancer I had, but until they did the mastectomy, I wasn't sure if it had metastasized or what my prognosis would be. And I can remember I really struggled with it because I didn't want to leave my family. And I remember one night I was in bed and I was crying, and I just said, you know what, Lord, this is out of my control. I'm just going to surrender and give it to you. And whatever happens, happens. Just take care of my family. And I had this overwhelming peace come over me. The Bible says that there's a peace that passes all understanding. I now know what that is. Number one, my faith, and then my family. My husband was at my side every day, every chemo, took care of me. He was wonderful. And my children, the same. And then grandkids. They are just little rays of sunshine. It's really hard to be sad for very long when you have your grandchildren around you. They're just precious. And they were so loving. Are you feeling better today, Mimi? And so we found joy in that. And my husband and I found great laughter in this. The very first chemo that I had, I came home and I went to the recliner. I was feeling pretty badly. And we have a golden retriever, big moose of a dog, 90 pounds. So of course he came over to see me. And he walked up next to the recliner and he kind of stuck his nose out and took a big whiff. And then he smelled me again. And he literally turned around, laid on the ground, rolled, snorted, tried to get the smell out of his nose. And I told my husband, I said, well, that just tells you how bad that is if a dog won't even come near you when you're at chemo. My husband was diagnosed with cancer about 5 months after I finished chemo. There's no way that I could have had peace about it, that I could have done all that I had done on my own strength. God just gave me the strength and the ability to do the things that I had to do. And I know that miracles don't happen all the time, but they still do happen. And I'm so thankful every day for the miracle that God has given us.
I was turning 50 and my friends kept telling me, you need to go to the doctor, get checked out. And I'm like, I have nothing wrong with me. And went and got a checkup. And I was fine, but she wanted to do some tests and internal ultrasound done and stuff. And the next day I was really sick. I had so much pain in my stomach, and I called the doctor and they're like, oh, you know, maybe you just had a cyst or something that burst, don't worry about it. So I didn't, but it kept getting worse. And so I went back to the doctor, called her again, and she said, we're gonna do another test. It was with a contrast diagnostic test. And I went and had that done, and I came out, and the nurse said, can you wait for somebody to talk to you? And I said, yeah. Well, the doctor came down and they said, they're reading on the x-ray that you have appendicitis. And they said, but if you have any pain, go right to emergency because it's probably bursting. And I said, okay. So I had tons of pain the next day. I called one of the doctors that they gave me, and the office said they're gonna look at my x-rays and stuff and he'll call me back. Well, they called me back within like 2 hours and said, the doctor would like to see you immediately. Well, this isn't good. I go, because they want me to come in now. So we went in. He said, I don't know who read your x-rays, but you do not have appendicitis. I'm thinking you have colon cancer. And I think it was maybe a day and a half later, they called me back and said, yes, it was colon cancer, and they wanted me to come in. And I already have the operating room booked for Monday. How does that sound for surgery? And I was like, oh, okay. They took out half my colon. I was in the hospital for about a week. I did not have chemo. My doctor felt that they took so much out that he didn't feel like chemo was gonna do any good for me. Then it was 4 years later, they found a lump and went back in, and right away they said, after they took the test, they said yes, it was breast cancer. So I told them right away I was going to have a double mastectomy done. It came back again. I was on the border of, the doctor said, to do chemo or not chemo. He said, you fell right over the line. Much like if I had chemo, I probably had a 95% chance it wouldn't come back. If I didn't do chemo, we're looking at an 88% chance. My husband was very supportive, said, I don't care whatever you decide to do. I talked to my family, the kids. My kids were very vocal. They did not want me to do it. They wanted me to hold off. We decided not to do it, and so I didn't. I'm going to take my chances and not do it and see how it goes. So I just go now for my checkups. When I started my reconstruction, I ended up with a blood clot in my leg and then it went to an embolism in my lung, so I was back in the hospital for that. I'd like to thank my husband who has been with me through all of this. We've gone through a lot in our marriage, and I couldn't have gotten through all this without him. He is one of the strongest people I know. My family has always been there for me. I just want him and everybody else to know how much I love them and I care for them, and I'm so glad that I have them in my lives.
I had an abnormal pap, which led me to a number of additional tests. And on April Fool's Day, which is now my least favorite day, I got a call from a nurse in my GYN's office, and she said, Dr. Isaac has scheduled a telehealth appointment for you today at 5:30. I didn't want that phone call. I just remember being on 303, and I remember thinking, as soon as I have this conversation, there's going to be a line in my life, and it's going to be a before and an after. So when my gynecologist told me, he referred me to a number of Cleveland Clinic gynecologic oncologists and made some recommendations. The following week, my husband and I were at Tausig meeting with my oncologist, and he said, we've got you scheduled. We're going to do a radical open hysterectomy, and we're going to do it on Friday, April 23rd. I was in the hospital for about 3 days, and then it took about 10 days before I got my pathology results back, and they had gotten it all, and I was, cancer-free and already a survivor by the middle of May, so it went pretty quick. My friend Leah, at the very beginning, she sent me a travel mug, and it had on it a picture of someone, a drawing of a human hand with the middle finger extended, and it said, "Dear Cancer, you picked the wrong bitch." And from the very beginning, I had my friends, on the days that I didn't have confidence in myself and my ability to push through, my friends were like, nope, you got this. My husband, Eric, we, God bless him, we got married at the end of December of 2019. So we didn't really have the traditional newlywed time. We only had a couple months before COVID lockdown happened, and luckily I really felt like it was unfair to him. Oh my gosh, for crying out loud, yes, we got married, but the poor guy, we kind of just got married, and now this, but he was there every single step of the way. I have to thank the love of my life, my husband, all of my friends, from cards and notebooks and flowers and, a coffee tumbler with profanity on it, just showing up. And I don't know if people realize every single thing that they did or said, encouraging text messages, emails. It doesn't have to be a gift, just calling and saying, how are you doing? I don't know that anybody actually really gets through cancer alone. And so, everybody who was there for me, I'm really, really grateful.
I truly thought at the beginning that I had gallbladder issues. I had pains in my stomach after I would eat, and sometimes a lot of fatigue, and so I would go lay down. They sent me for a CAT scan, and I didn't think that was abnormal. And when they came back, they said that they had to send me downtown for some additional testing. And I got the call, and they told me I had cancer. And they said I had non-Hodgkin's. Actually, my first phone call was to one of the past honored survivors. It was Rose Guda, and I said, what do I do? Who do I call? I was diagnosed on May 13th, and I was started treatment at the beginning of June. I was told I was going to have probably one of the most aggressive forms of chemotherapy. Spent several weeks there. And when I came home, I was in a hospital bed. And now I've gone from the hospital bed to my wheelchair, to my walker, to my cane that we call Granny. And soon I hope to be walking on my own. What I learned about myself early on was that it was okay to allow people to do things for you. I was probably still am, a very take charge person, and I'm the doer, and I'm the fixer, and I'm the planner, and I was none of that. That all came to a halt. My friends had a list that rotated of who was going to be at my bedside, basically, because I couldn't be left alone. My family was unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable. My husband and my kids. A lot with my son, because, you know, who thinks their 18-year-old son is going to, you know, have to bathe their mom, or I was still on a bad pan at the time. Asking me to say thank you to anyone is probably one of the hardest things. First and foremost, my husband and my kids. Their lives were changed forever on that day as well. My friends and family stepped up, not just for me, but for my husband and my kids. My friends and my family were my army, and we were gonna go to war against non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we were gonna fight this, and we were gonna win.
So breast cancer has been on my radar forever. I had, you know, all the doctors I could, and just really diligent about trying to keep healthy. Then 2020 happened. Sure enough, I feel this lump, and it just got bigger. I went ahead and I did get it biopsied, and wow, in September I get the phone call from my doctor that it is positive. I had a game plan before I even was diagnosed. I knew the hell that my sister went through, and my mom, and I wouldn't want to go through that again. So I ended up scheduling mastectomy, bilateral mastectomy, and also reconstruction. Had that done within, 3 weeks, and opted not to go with chemotherapy, and here I am, and I'm as strong and as healthy as could be. I'm back to running marathons, and it's just been, wow, it's been a journey. So every day you're just thankful for life. What I learned about myself from going through cancer and the journey is that, wow, I had just so much to be thankful for. Honestly though, the most important thing is God and our faith. Truly, I wouldn't be here. None of us would be. And that's what's truly in my heart. Jim came up, he just stepped up to the plate like none other. I couldn't believe it. You know, from the time I came home from the hospital, he was there throughout the whole time, helping with everything. Angela's my youngest, and she probably was the one who touched my heart the most. I was at Southwest General, and my recovery room was a big, huge picture window that faced the parkway. Well, I run that parkway all the time. Brian and a group of the runners were outside the window on the parkway, and they were standing there. They weren't sure what window I was in. And so, of course, I had, you know, one quarter of a pain pill in my system, so I was not allowed to get up. Got up with all these drains and IVs and everything. I got yelled at by the nurses, but there was my friends waving to me at the parkway. I'm so thankful to my family, all the family that's here today, Angela, Kevin, Jim, Grace, Vicki. I'm so thankful for all of you, and you just don't know how much you mean to me. So God bless all of you. You've helped me tremendously.
If you are new on this path and you're in that terrifying place where you know you have cancer, but you don't know the details and you don't have a plan, and you start having all these really frightening thoughts, don't keep them to yourself.
Really cry out to God first off and just give it to Him. You can't control what's going to happen, and you need help.
Never give up hope, never. No matter what people are saying or the diagnosis that come, every day is a new day.
Take every minute you got, every day you get, and do what you want to do. Live your life. Don't worry what's going to happen next.
You have to get your head right. And if your head's not right, the body's not going to follow. And that sounds stupid, but it's very true.
Get your strength. I mean, learn all you can about this. Learn all you can, helping yourself just get better and feel better.
Always remember that there are people there for you that really want you to get better. So there's hope in that.